Many homeschoolers find this meme annoying. So, according to an article on responsiblehomeschooling.org, it was her rigorous practice schedule that forced Simone Biles to attend homeschool throughout high school. Biles' success is part of the homeschool prodigy narrative that often features athletes, musicians, and Harvard-bound savants. What they want us to remember is that homeschooling does not create savants, but it helps them focus on their strengths. Most homeschoolers are average, but they maximize their abilities. Simone Biles herself said that she hated homeschooling because she was a very social person and it left her lonely all the time. In an interview, Simone Biles' mother, her adopted mother, said that she let her decide to homeschool rather than attend a public high school. But there is a consensus that holding up the most elite homeschooling and pasting that all over the internet and all over Twitter as the norm is dangerous to homeschoolers in general. So let's talk more about Simone Biles as a homeschool success story. So Simone Biles made her junior national debut in the 2011 American Classic in Houston, placing third in all-around and first in vault. In 2012, Simone was removed from public school for homeschooling. Due to academic freedom, she was able to train 32 hours a week, up from 20 hours in public school. And this led to her 2012 gymnastics success. Simone told The Undefeated that homeschooling was the only way to advance in gymnastics. She described how difficult it was to leave public school for months. So her grandfather decided on Christian homeschooling for many reasons. She admits she had a weekend of turmoil over the decision, but eventually decided it was the only way to take her gymnastics seriously. In an interview with CBN, Simone Biles said, "I think God gives every individual something special, and mine was talent. So, to never take it for granted, which my dad always told me, don't waste God's gift that he gave you, because it's like it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity." She completed high school at home and graduated in 2015. Additionally, she verbally committed to UCLA in August of 2014. She decided to enroll after the 2016 Olympics and signed a national letter of intent to the school. Her NCAA eligibility, however, was forfeited in 2015 when she pursued professional gymnastics. 3 years later, she decided to enroll in University of the People, which is an online school that I actually got my master's degree from, to study business administration and become a brand ambassador. It's really difficult. I did a lot of digging, and it's hard to get any full story on curriculum, whether it was online or anything like that, but this little bit gives a hint that she possibly attended a homeschool co-op in between training sessions. She said, "If I had a competition, I had to leave," and in quotes it says school, "for like a month. I would take my schoolwork," she said. "I missed high school, but it always worked out." As someone who runs a homeschool co-op, that makes sense to me that she would be attending a part-time school where she could just take the work with her and then bring it back when she was done. In that aspect, going to public school, hanging out with friends, going to school dances, I was homeschooled. I really didn't get any of that. But I also feel like at the end of the day, I got to travel and represent my country, so I really don't think I've missed out on too much, she said. So, Simone started off as a foster child. Her biological mother, Shannon, struggled with drugs and alcohol, and Simone was often removed from her care. We were really fortunate because we got to stay with our siblings, which most siblings get separated, she said. They also had the same foster parents. Our foster care experience was good. I can't argue with that. It just wasn't a permanent home. If Biles and her siblings were placed in foster care, a social worker would notify Shannon's father, Ron. So every time they took her from the mother, the social worker would call her grandfather, Ron. He finally requested that the kids live with him, his wife Nellie, and their 2 sons in Houston. The situation was more complicated for Nellie Biles. These kids were unfamiliar to her. She always planned to travel with Ron when their teenage sons, Ron Jr. and Adam, were away. Simone and her younger sister Adria would need her and Ron for years, as their family of 4 became 8. Ron Biles and Shannon visited Simone and her siblings in Houston after 18 months and convinced the oldest 2 to return to Ohio. Even though it would mean another stay in foster care, authorities advised Simone and Adria to return to Ohio to reunite the family. Okay, so what happened was Simone's 2 oldest siblings, Ashley and Tevin, ended up staying in Ohio, but they were adopted by Ron Biles, the grandfather's sister. Then Ron and Nellie adopted the 2 little girls, Simone, who was 6 at the time, and Adria, who was 2. I was very, very blessed and fortunate, Simone Biles said. I felt loved and cared. I was fit. I was okay. Biles felt like taking these little girls would shrink her world. Fortunately, her world grew exponentially. How sad I thought that, she said, but that was the reality then. I cannot tell you how much we have traveled because of Simone. Simone introduced me to so many things and people I would never have met without her. Simone's parents are Ron and Nellie in every way. Like Ron Jr. and Adam, they love Simone and Adrian and are Biles' biggest supporters. So Simone improved quickly in her gymnastics journey, impressing coaches with her skills and flexibility. Amy Borman coached her at Bannon's Gymnastics after seeing her potential. Simone found her niche in gymnastics under Borman's tutelage. Simone bravely attempted and mastered complex moves during training, showing her dedication. Simone's success in regional and national competitions proved she was destined for gymnastics greatness. Again, at age 9, Simone learned why she couldn't sit still. She had ADHD. Her brain moved fast and her body did too, which made it hard for her to concentrate in school. The challenges we face define who we are, Simone wrote. My challenge is also my superpower, ADHD. Simone's superpower would help make her one of the most dynamic gymnastics ever seen. Enter the USA Olympic team abuse scandal. At a U.S. Senate hearing on the Larry Nassar abuse scandal, Simone Biles gave emotional testimony. The scandal rocked gymnastics and involved some of America's most famous young athletes. To be clear, I blame Larry Nassar, and I also blame an entire system that enabled and perpetrated this abuse, she said. USA Gymnastics and the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee knew that I was abused by their official team doctor long before I was ever made aware of their knowledge. This all had a great effect on Simone's mental health. The scars of this horrific abuse continue to live with all of us. I worked incredibly hard to make sure that my presence would help maintain a connection between the failures around the Nassar case and the competition at Tokyo in 2020, she said. That has proven to be an exceptionally difficult burden for me to carry, particularly when required to travel to Tokyo without the support of any of my family. I am a strong individual and I will persevere, but I never should have been left alone to suffer the abuse of Larry Nassar. The Indianapolis Star reported that Nassar performed osteopathic manipulation on patients. Doctors perform illness and injury by touching. Biles said she struggled to admit she was abused. A lot of us didn't go to school. We were homeschooled. So it's not like we had a lot of people to talk about it with, she recalled. I remember asking one of my friends, hey, have I been sexually assaulted? And I thought I was being dramatic at first. And she said, no, absolutely. I said, are you sure? I don't think so, Biles recounted. Because I feel like in those instances, I was one of the luckier ones because I didn't get it as bad as some of the other girls I knew. After accepting that she had been assaulted by Nassar, Biles began grappling with depression. I was like super depressed. I didn't want to leave my room. and I didn't want to go anywhere. I kind of just shut everybody out. I don't know. It was probably hard for me, she said. I remember being on the phone with my agent and telling my mom and my agent that I slept all the time. Gymnasts and their attorneys have slammed the Karate training camp since those days, which appear to be over. It was filthy. They were underfed. Their privacy was lacking. The bathrooms were filthy, and they couldn't call their parents. Simone Biles said she often stole food from training camp kitchens because she was so hungry. At 12, Biles, the most decorated gymnast in history, was named the U.S. Junior National Team and began training monthly at the Crowley Ranch in Texas. We would break into the cafeteria to eat, she told 60 Minutes in an interview. Biles and her teammates were verbally abused about their weight and their size. In addition to rationing, their eating was strictly monitored. So, that is the journey that Simone Biles had through her elite Olympic training and her homeschooling years. While some might say don't hold her up as, I don't know, don't put her on a pedestal as a homeschooler because it makes other homeschoolers look bad or lazy or whatever, or because it gives a false impression of who homeschoolers are. I think the fact that she survived Olympics, she's still an Olympian, she survived foster care, she did well with her adoption into her extended family, she survived Larry Nassar, definitely makes her a homeschool success story.